Tomozaki has dominated plenty of games and is one of the best gamers in Japan, but in his opinion, the game of real life is one of the worst, as he can't seem to relate to people and gets bad grades. He sucks at sports and he's hunchbacked, so basically he's done. He takes pride in being a top-ranked Takfum player, a strategic fighting game all about matchups. The story begins when Tomozaki is playing against a guy called Nakamura, who challenges Tomozaki to swap characters as he can't beat him. Tomozaki tells him it's the greatest shame to blame the game when you lose, but switches character anyway and still wins. Tomozaki doesn't particularly like Nakamura, and thinks of him as a noob gamer born lucky enough to enjoy blazing through life on easy mode. Later, we're introduced to two popular hot girls, called Hinami and Minami. Hinami has been regarded for having a perfect existence, as she is beautiful and excels at everything she does. On the other hand, Minami is an intelligent athlete. They talk with Nakamura about what he's been up to and stop at a coffee shop on the way home. The next day, Tomozaki was matched with the second best player in Japan, called No Name. He notices No Name has drastically improved, and after just winning by an inch, No Name asks if they can meet in person. The following day, the two meet up at the rendezvous, and Tomozaki is surprised to see No Name turned out to be a cute girl. And not only that, it's his classmate Hinami. She is disappointed that the #1 player on the game she respected turned out to be a loser in real life. She mocks his clothes, saying his sneakers are dirty and he has a wrinkled shirt. Tomozaki tells her that someone like you will never understand where I'm coming from, and complains that life is an unbalanced game with no rules, adding that a bottom-tier character could never compete with an attractive popular top-tier character like her, so admits that he's fine settling with his loner life as it's fun in its own way. Hinami shames him for blaming the game of life, and tells him that he doesn't deserve to be a gamer. Tomozaki realizes that he is being a hypocrite for blaming the game just like Nakamura did, and tells Hinami that he understands what she's saying, but the only problem is that you can't change characters in real life. Hinami takes him to her house, and while Tomozaki is waiting in her room, she removes her makeup and puts on some other clothes, and when she gets back, Tomozaki asks who are you, and asks if she's Hinami's sister as he didn't recognize her. She says I only took my makeup off, and begins lecturing him on his appearance, explaining the importance of how you present yourself to the world. Tomozaki begins to mope, saying that he can't wear makeup because he's a guy, and his face is what it is. However, Hinami explains that appearance comes down to two things, expression and posture, so just by mastering these two things will get him a long way, adding that socializing and so on are skills that are learned, just like a game, and in fact, life is the ultimate game of all. Hinami says that she considered Nanashi to be even more capable of effort than her, but in the game of life, this Nanashi wasn't just losing, he was barely even fighting. So there, Hinami declares that she will be the one to teach him the rules to the ultimate game of life. Tomozaki accepts Hinami's proposal and they go to a cafeteria to discuss things further. Hinami tells him that from now on he has to wear a mask at all times, and while he is wearing it, he has to be smiling from ear to ear, so his face muscles get used to smiling. She also tells him that they will get together every day, 30 minutes before and after classes in the sewing room, where she writes down his main goal, which is to be satisfied with his life offline the games. But it is a very big goal, so she divided it into medium and small goals. The small goal is to get a family member or friend to give him a compliment. In other words, he has to get a third party to notice that his appearance and vibe has improved. And the medium goal is to get a girlfriend before the end of the year. However, he'll be completing daily tasks toward this goal. Today's goal is for Tomozaki to talk to at least 3 girls at school. A girl called Izumi, who is his neighbor, and Minami, who sits next to him in home economics class, and the third girl is all up to him. He sits next to Izumi and asks her for a tissue, but she didn't have one, so she asks her friend, called Kikuchi, who hands him some tissues, and Tomozaki thanks both of them. Later in economics class, he talks to Minami and unintentionally makes her burst out laughing because of the way he talks. Nakamura and his friends come in and ask Tomozaki to repeat what he said, patronizing him. However, Hinami puts Nakamura in his place, saying that he's just salty he lost to him in Takfum. Tomozaki and Hinami then go to the sewing room to review what he's learned today, which is that he's terrible at maintaining a conversation, and also that when someone disrespects you, you have to stand up for yourself. The next day, Tomozaki stops wearing the mask and Hinami corrects his posture. At the end of the day's classes, they meet with a group of friends, and his goal is to get into the conversation. He manages to do it even though it was pretty bad. After, Hinami tells Tomozaki that he'll be getting off at the same stop as Minami, so he can walk home with her. While the two are walking, Tomozaki says there has to be times you can't be smiling or bubbly, to which she replies, that's when you need to smile the most, or times will be that much harder. The two go on to have a decent conversation and everything seems to be progressing. The next day, Hinami gives Tomozaki some tips for having a conversation. She tells him the key is two things: first, to propose topics of conversation, and second, to expand those topics. Hinami gives him some conversation starters and a pocket recorder, revealing that she has been recording their entire conversation, so that Tomozaki can listen to himself and improve. The following day, Hinami takes Tomozaki to the mall to find him some more fashionable clothes. After, they go to a restaurant where it turns out Kikuchi works as a waitress, the girl who had lent him the tissue. Hinami tells Tomozaki that she'll help him make Kikuchi his girlfriend, as she has the most promise of all the girls he's spoken to so far. Tomozaki and Hinami spend a lot of time together. In fact, everything they did on this day could be considered as a date. I say this because we see that the two of them get along well. However, I won't say too much, but I'm sure you have a pretty good idea what will happen in the end. We then see Tomozaki with a fresh haircut and his sister gives him a compliment, so he fulfills another goal. His next small goal is to go somewhere other than school with a girl. He also has to talk to her at least twice per day. The week goes by and he tries talking with Izumi each day, although he fails, having the kind of conversations that don't amount to anything. However, he says that the good thing about the game of life is that even if something goes wrong, it serves as an experience to talk about. Later, Kikuchi helps Tomozaki reveal his social skills in the library. They talk a little and she asks if he can give his opinion on the novel she is writing. Surprised as ever, Tomozaki says he will. So Kikuchi says next time she is going to bring the novel, which will help Tomozaki gain a stronger bond with Kikuchi. When leaving school, Tomozaki finds Izumi half sad. He asks what's wrong with her, and she reveals that it's because Nakamura doesn't hang out with her much, because he's always practicing takfum. So she asks Tomozaki to teach her how to play so she can beat him. He goes to Izumi's house and is in his element because of his mad gaming skills. He ends up teaching her all sorts of things and the whole ordeal ends up a success. The next day after school, Nakamura challenges Tomozaki to a duel again, as he's been training hard all this time, and several girls also appear to watch. Tomozaki beats him without a sweat, but Nakamura can't hold the L and asks him for another round. Tomozaki then ends up beating him 15 more times, and the girls who came to see started making fun of Nakamura for playing the game a lot but losing over and over. One of the girls calls the game stupid, so Tomozaki puts her in her place explaining that takfum is a god-tier game, and ends up earning the respect of Nakamura and his friends, and also the girls. In short, he made a tremendous combo of skills socially speaking, as he got the respect points of everyone just with this play. Later, they go to a shopping center to buy Nakamura a gift for his birthday, and to make peace. His objective is to take the leadership of the group, but fails because he always suggests other things before buying the gifts, such as eating food and touring the mall. The next day at school, Minami approaches Tomozaki and asks him to be her manager, as she's competing for the president of the council, so she makes him spend a lot of time together, planning a strategy to win. However, they still lose, but he ends up becoming friends with Minami and his social skills are improving, so everything is fine. Later at home, Tomozaki is organizing a trip. He invites Kikuchi to the cinema, and after they go to a restaurant, they have some good talks and everything is going well, and Kikuchi tells him that she wants to go out with him again, so they agree to watch the fireworks together. Days later, Tomozaki and Hinami go on a mini vacation to meet Nakamura and Minami. When they arrive, Hinami assigns a task to everybody, and while they're all eating together, Tomozaki realizes that socializing can be pretty fun after all. After they eat, the guys all return to their dorm, where Nakamura reveals he has a crush on Hinami. Tomozaki gathers the courage to give his advice, however Nakamura and his friends just laugh at him, as they feel socially superior. Later, Hinami reveals to Nakamura that she has been unconsciously suppressing her real self, as people expect so much of her. She says, I play the part people want me to play, and that it sure gets boring doing things for the sake of appearances. However, everyone deserves to find one person we can show our true selves to. We then come to find out that Tomozaki is secretly listening close by, and hears everything. While on a date with Kikuchi, Tomozaki begins questioning everything. He admits to her that he's been wearing a mask, and that every time they talked he'd been using topics made for him by Hinami. However, Kikuchi says she understands, and they end up with a stronger connection. Later, Tomozaki meets with Hinami and confesses that he liked the game because he could make the character do whatever he wanted. But now he wants to be a character in the game of life, as he likes this game now. Tomozaki knows what he wants, and it's to conquer life with Hinami by his side. She tells him to prove himself one last time, so he takes her on a date where they have a good time. And the anime ends here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time guys, take care.